to another episode of Deconstructing the Narrative. I am your host, and I'm also a content creator with SADA Collective. My name is Erica Seha, and today I'm joined by Samy. How are you, Samy?
What's up, Erica? I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I really
Thank you
appreciate
for
you.
joining us.
Yeah, of
Awesome.
course.
So, just to get started, can you kind of just give us a background about what you do?
Sure. So I am born and raised in LA, and I have had my brand for almost 4 years now. No admit official. And I'm the creative director, graphic designer. I'm basically a one-man band for my brand fully.
Awesome. And No Admit, can you kind of explain like the background behind the company and what you guys kind of focus on?
Yes. So No Admit is a custom sustainable brand. So everything I do is recycled, and I'm really big on sustainability. That's super important to the brand. So it's all pieces custom made that I recycle in. So a lot of vintage pieces, and I rework everything handmade. And basically, if you get a piece from me, you're the only person to have that piece. So that's what's really, really important
Awesome.
to me and us when we work on pieces, is just making sure that everything is customizable to the client. So that's really a huge piece, is uniqueness.
Awesome. And what kind of led you to kind of going the route with clothing and with, choosing this like theme of sustainability? What out of your, like, I guess, have you had any background in any previous creative fields, or, and if so, kind of what kind of led you to doing what you're doing now with this brand?
So it's really a journey. I mean, me getting into No Admit was such a journey because I started really as a painter. I've always been creative.
Awesome.
It's something that I feel like I've just always noticed in myself, even as a little kid. Like I always got 100% in art, but like didn't do that great in math. I was that kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have that mind. Yeah,
Like,
I'm the same exact
right.
way.
Like everything extra, like curricular, I was all about. Like I was on basketball, I was volleyball, like anything, art, theater was so up my alley. So I love to paint though. That's really where I started. As I like grew up, I painted more, and through painting, I always had a sense for fashion too. And I wanted to intertwine the two together. So that's how really it all started. I was in the middle of painting. I was like, why don't I start painting on clothes? So me painting on clothes escalated to then making this, customizable, vintage, recycled brand.
Awesome.
That went, it just kind of like flourished from there. And it wasn't easy. I wouldn't say that I got it overnight. You know what I mean? It was something that was brewing and breaking and baking for a while. So from there, it kind of just took off, and still brewing. It's still going.
That's awesome. And are you kind of doing everything on your own, or do you have like a team of people that are kind of working with you to make this happen?
So I have a small team right now, and I'm constantly, a team for me is so important, especially when you're working on a piece of art that you're so passionate about. It's so different when you're working on your own piece other than when you're working for someone else's art. I feel like, me personally, I'm just so anal about everything that I do.
Yeah.
So the people that I bring on, I feel like have to have that same mindset and that same just category of creativeness, because that's where it just works and it flows organically. You know what I mean? But it's just me and a few people right now just helping with like marketing, and I do all of the like all the seamstress like stuff.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I do a lot of the design stuff. But really I get a lot of help out of the marketing and like social media. It can tend to be a lot. And so I get like anxiety. I get like social media anxiety. Really, I do. Because there's so much that's going on.
Yeah, it's like a whole other aspect.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. It's like, it's a lifestyle. It really is. It's like, I feel like people think it's really not that easy to like carry not just a social media presence, but a brand presence with your social media presence. There's I think there's a big thing that goes with that, and really figuring that out and getting a strong team to do that is really important.
Definitely, yeah, especially because it's just a whole other side of the business.
It
Like
is.
obviously you have the side of the creation and everything, and that was already so like takes up so much time. So to be able to also handle social media and getting your name out there and stuff, that's a whole other
monster.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know surface level of it, really.
Yeah.
But people that are really into it know it's not just, you don't just go insta famous or viral overnight. It's just
it's
like
hard work. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. It's consistency. That's so true. Yeah. Awesome. And for you, what does like a typical day in the life look like for you when it comes to running your brand? Like kind of like what are your daily tasks, or what do you kind of do every day as like an artist or a creative in this field?
Well, every day there's always something. I mean, whether it has to do with, figuring what packaging are you getting for what drop, or whether it's for the new collection that's coming out, there's always little things that have to get done no matter what. It's like, as an artist, I feel like there's never a like break. Really, I feel like our minds are always going. And that's always great too, because you don't want to get into that like what's it called, that artist, like where you have that brain
like a
fart
block
and you go through
exactly.
I was looking, it's interesting, I was looking at it was like a bunch of TED Talks on YouTube, and there was this guy who's an artist that said, I have a little notebook and I jot down 10 ideas a day. So that was really huge to me, because I was like, you know what? Yeah. Even if it's like not even, it's just an idea, right? It could be the smallest thing, but just to keep the brain going. Like always jot at least 10 ideas a day. So that's something I try to I'm very goal oriented. So I have to write things down. If I don't have a goal, my mind is like crazy. Like I don't know where to go first. So I have to write it down and say, okay, did I get there yet? So really it's, for me, it's really look at my goal book. Okay, where am I now? What prioritizing is key. And something that, I'm not the best at, but I always try my best at, is time management. I think is so important too. So really it's just planning my day out, just managing and prioritizing what's the most important thing to least.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like writing down your goals is such a good piece of advice, because I feel like, you never even know, like one that you write down that's maybe like not a big deal in the moment can be the idea. That could be the thing that just like sets your career off, so you never know. Really great piece of advice. Yeah. And I'm also very much someone who like, I write down everything, like literally anything and everything. Like I have to get it down. Otherwise I feel like I'm going to forget, and it just freaks me out.
Exactly.
So,
no, really. I've been in so many instances where like, I'll be driving and an idea will pop up and I'll be like, oh, I'll remember in an hour, I'll write it down.
And then
like,
you don't.
No, it just, exactly. So it's so important, like
so
really.
Fast. Yeah. So yeah, it's so important. Awesome. And then behind your brand, is there like a specific, I know you said you focus like a big thing, theme behind the brand is sustainability, but is there another, theme that you have found that you guys are really focusing on, or has that something that's constantly changing?
No, absolutely. I love that you set this whole deconstructing the narrative. I love that, because right now, especially during this time of, I guess you can say, turmoil with, this pandemic and then all these racial and social injustices, I think it's given us a lot of time to reflect
100%
on everything that's been going on. So my brand, like I said, it's always been, focused on differences. I think being different is so important. That's what makes the world really go round.
Yes.
So look at since all these things have been happening, I wanted to switch the narrative. So that's a huge thing. And I know I'm not the only one during this time that's feeling like, because I've been so upset. I feel like everything that's happened hasn't really inspired me. It's more like upset me and concerned me and just like drove me through the roof. You know what I mean? I've been in so many emotions to where I'm like, okay, I can't just sit here and make a dope shirt. I have to bring some kind of awareness, like as an artist in my platform, whether huge or small or where it is now. I feel like I want to be part of some type of change. I want to help the change. I want to, you know, put in some growth. I was reading something, there's many different ways to protest. You know, there's a lot of, I live in LA, I'm born and raised in LA, and I did go to some here, but I was like, there's many different ways to protest. And one way I feel like I can do it through my art, through my fashion. So there are some nonprofits that I looked at and that I am basically going to be working with and doing some pieces that all the donations are going to go to them. That's and amazing. It's also a piece that has to do with, you know, unity and anti-hate and anti-racism and just kind of putting that out there, not being scared to just put it out there, you know, have the world know, because right now it's such a pivotal time. We have to, whatever way we can, you know, put the word out there, because it really has to stop. I've talked to so many people of many age groups, and they've said like, oh, history repeats itself. We've seen this before. Like, people will just forget about it. I'm like, no, we can't have that happen. We really have to have a serious change happen. So it's like Breonna Taylor, you know what I mean? There's still
they're still no,
it's like
it's ridiculous.
Like it can't go over heads, and people can't think, oh, they're over it, or oh, let's just give them money, like everybody will get over it. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
It's a life.
And that's what exactly. And that's what I love about our generation right now, is that we're so in tuned and we're so strong, and we're being so aggressive with it, and I think that's so important.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing too, and I think it's really important, you know, with all the social issues going on, and obviously also COVID, everything that's just happening. I feel like artists are playing a big role right now, and just like we're getting a timestamp right now, like, you know, like people are going to look back in 10, 20, 30 years and wonder what happened during COVID, and to have all of this work that kind of exists at that point, you know what I mean, to kind of just serve as like, this is what was going on. I think that's so important as an artist. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. And so are you guys just mainly working with nonprofits, or are you guys going to be doing any other work regarding everything else that's going on?
Right now it's nonprofits, but I do want to work with, I have a lot of friends in LA. I mean, there's so many people that are artists here, and some really great people that I've known for a while, that I want to go, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an advocate by any means, but I am trying my best to just have the word out there, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to start, I mean, a sort of video presence. I want to start also a podcast that, you know, is talking about these things with different artists and how they feel about it. And I want to do a collaboratory process with different artists on, like, in making a shirt. I want to work, for example, say I work with you and you give me, you know, your most influential, either Latin, Black, Asian, whatever, you know, person in history that has made a change, or a great quote. We'll put it on a shirt, put it out, and have a collaboratory process, and, you know, talk more about the shirt, and just kind of just give awareness in that way in art.
Awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. Perfect. And speaking kind of everything that's going on in the world, I've been kind of talking with every artist, because I feel like it's really important to discuss the way that, you know, COVID and the whole situation with COVID is kind of affecting artists. And so I guess I just wanted to kind of ask you how this situation has impacted your work, especially with something that's so hands-on. How have you kind of gotten around everything that's going on, and what have you kind of found that has been helpful during this time as a creator?
You know what? I mean, as we all know, it's been such a wild ride for everybody in so many different ways, and really, it's been great having a strong, I mean, I keep a strong amount of friends, a good handful, you know what I mean? I'm a handful friend person, and I have a good support
system, or quality over quantity.
Boom. Yes. That's very important. Very important. But I found some, you know, it's like a good support system. Not only are like we all creative and great and positive, but it's still a support system, because it's not easy, and we can't say every day is happy-go-lucky. I'm ready to seize the day. You know what I mean? It's tough. And like I said, that's something that really, during all this in my downtime and feeling like, just feeling yucky and like a bunch of bad stuff's been going on. It's that emotion, all that emotion, I really just focused on channeling that into exactly. That's been one of the main things. It's just challenging all that emotion, and it's not easy. It's really not. It's not. I can't say, oh, I'm sad and depressed and now I'm happy, I'm going to put it in art. You know what I mean? So it's a collaboratory process with me and my emotions physically, you know. But really having that support system and really just finding a way to motivate yourself. I think you have to be your number one role model. I think you have to be your own role model. You have to be your own motivator, and you have to be your number one fan at the end of the day, no matter what. 100%. So once you have that really like in strength, that's when you can really shoot for the stars and go at it.
100%. Yeah. And I kind of wanted to move over and discuss with you, I guess like just like any like real life occurrences that you've found that you've had throughout your life that have inspired you like heavily. Like, is there any one specific moment or a specific like, you know, I guess conversation with someone, or like just a specific instance within your life that you just feel like really motivated you to kind of, and that you've incorporated into your brand?
You know what? My whole life, my dad, he immigrated from El Salvador. He's El Salvadorian, so from Central America. And my mom is from the Philippines, and she also immigrated from there. And I always, throughout my whole life, I always felt like I wasn't, and I've had this conversation with other individuals that are like two separate races that don't feel like they're that enough or that enough. And it's always, I've always kind of had that constantly throughout my life. I never really told people about it unless they like understood it, you know, never brought that conversation up. But that's all. I've always felt like not just kind of just different, I guess. Like I didn't really have a place, but I had to make my own place. You know, for myself, to make myself comfortable. Because I think that was just me finding my identity. But that's what helped me also in my creative process, because that is me. That's an underlying of me, to where I'm like cool with being different now. Not, you know, not knowing where I fit in is fine. I think that's fine. I feel like even if you feel like, oh, I don't fit in, that shouldn't be a reason to, you know, feel down on yourself. I think that's even more so why you should actually do something and create something. I think things come out of just the unpredictable, I guess. So I think
so just working with really being different. Totally. And
even if you feel like, you know, you're just not meant to be, that's kind of the point. I feel like we're not meant to all be the same. I mean, sometimes society does push that in a sense with trends and, you know, trend, like all that whole situation. But I feel like at the end of the day, having just self-love is so important. No matter what, it's like self-love at the end of the day is such a serious thing. It's so important.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think it takes a lot of people, it's taken me a long time to be able to get to a spot where I feel like secure in myself.
It's a journey.
It is. And you know what? And I think it's so important when it comes to being an artist to be able to feel that way, because otherwise you question everything you're doing and you doubt everything you're doing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And you have to be able to just feel like, you know, I'm doing this for this reason, and like I don't give a crap what anyone says, you know what I mean? Like that's like my art, and that's like my story, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think that's so important. And I think, you know, I personally struggle with that. I know that a lot of the artists I've been speaking with have mentioned, you know, something very similar to where, you know, it's just coming to that like understanding of like you're doing what you're doing for you at the end of the day, and like all of the like success and money and fame and everything else that you want from your art will come if you're doing like it for the right reasons, you know? So I think that's really important. Yeah. And I think that journey to self-love is so It's such a
It's
long one, but
huge. It
yeah,
is.
but it's
We could
very
have a
important.
full conversation because,
Yeah.
like you said, self-doubt, that's huge. And I think
Mhm.
every artist, no matter they say it or not, goes through it. It doesn't
Yes.
matter who you are.
Mhm.
We are all human at the end of the day. You can be, I don't know, the biggest person. You could be Rihanna. She goes through it too. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
all go through
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, 100%.
Self-doubt is huge, and it creeps up on you. Even if you are the most confident person, it will creep up
Mhm.
and be like, and be right
Yes.
here,
Uh-huh.
talking smack. And you just got to
Yeah.
know that, you just got to know to like,
Yeah.
we're not having that
Not
today.
today. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
100%. Yes. Awesome. And then I kind of wanted to discuss with you what is like, if you've had like a specific like pivotal just like response to like your work, like is there one instance of someone who has just came up to you and said something that's just been really like impactful for you and kind of just made you feel like yes, this is why I'm doing this, you know? Have you had one of those moments
For
yet?
me, yeah, I think for me is the uniqueness of it. That's so
Mhm.
huge for me, because when I went into this, it was all about how can I stand, how can I be different. It
Mhm.
irks me, like I don't want to just be a regular graphic shirt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What sets me apart? So the
Mhm.
fact that as I started, I was doing, well, my main piece, really the baby of No Admit, what turned No Admit to what it is a functional, I do a functional denim pocket right in front
Uh-huh.
of all hoodies, all shirts. It's just a functional denim pocket,
Oh,
right?
awesome.
And I'll put
Uh-huh.
a graphic in front of the functional denim pocket. So I love it. I get so giddy when people put stuff in it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
someone will have like their, phone or like
The
money and pennies.
keys.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yes. I'm like, that's the point.
That's awesome. I love that.
But
I'm
just
all
like
big on
the whole
pockets.
uniqueness and functionality. Yeah.
Yes. Everyone, people, you don't understand how important pockets are. Like, whenever you like wear a dress and
Girl,
like it has
yes,
pockets, you're just like, yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the best moment.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Awesome. Perfect. And then just to kind of start to wrap things up, I kind of want to discuss with you what message, what like is like the main message that you really hope to leave behind, maybe whenever you're gone and your art is still existing in the world. What do you hope that people take from it at the end of the day?
Not to be afraid to really show out and be raw. I think there's like a saying, the main thing to where I know, like when I started the brand, I said, okay, I need main words so I don't get crazy from all these other narratives that might come from me. I know I
Mm-hmm.
need to know these main things of what my brand is so I can
Mm-hmm.
always stem back to that. And I called it rough. So
Mm-hmm.
that is roughness, uniqueness, flyness. Okay. So it always has to have that. It has to have an element of uniqueness. Of course, it has to be fly. It has to
Uh-huh.
be rough. There has to be like strength to it. So if anything, I just really hope that people really push the limit, push the limit of fashion.
So
I
awesome.
really don't think there's any mistakes with art. I really don't. I've never have. I feel like you can always, if something seems like a mistake, you can always turn it into something godly. I feel like,
Yeah.
I really just feel like really push it to the limit when it comes to fashion and art, and just don't be scared of what other people might say, or
Mm-hmm.
you feel like it's too graphic or too intense or too insane or whatever you think. It's too anything. It's, if
Mm-hmm.
you love it, just go for it and go all the way in, all the way.
100%. And do you have like a specific this just kind of came in my head just now, but do you have any like specific lists of like fashion designers or lists of yeah, I guess just designers that have really inspired you in your work and what you're doing?
Honestly, my favorite hands down designer is Alexander McQueen.
I love
Reason
that you just said
being,
that. Yes.
love McQueen, girl. I can't, like, because not only is he a Pisces, I'm a Pisces too, Pisces gang. But his runways blow my mind. Like, and that's what I'm going for. It's so different. Like, that's what I mean. It's like so intense and it's so him, and it's all the way. Like, go all the way. If you're gonna do it, go all the way. And it's so different. It's so unique. And he is just hands down, like, love him. I love everything he's done for fashion, and it's inspired me so much. So him, and then Rihanna, of course,
Yes. Yes.
too.
No, but McQueen's runway shows from like New York Fashion Week, have you seen like all the old videos? They're just like absolutely insane, like so crazy.
Girl, like you will talk about that. It's legendary.
Oh, 100%.
It's legendary. It's so theatrical. Like it's just mind blowing. I'm just like, yes, if no one has ever seen a McQueen, please YouTube it right now, Google it, whatever. It will blow your mind.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's
so good.
It's so much more. It's so funny because I was just talking about Alexander McQueen yesterday with one of my guests, but yeah, I just feel like when a fashion started and Fashion Week first started being a thing, it's like it was literally about just like getting clothes on models and getting them out, and like that was that, you know what I mean? But he really went to the next level.
Next level, exactly.
You know what I mean? It wasn't just a fashion show.
Facts.
It was literally like a
boom.
like,
Yes.
You know?
Gives me chills talking about it. Yes, it's so good. So good.
I love that. That's awesome. Perfect. My last question for you today is just, I want you to kind of leave some advice for anybody who's watching or listening that they can really use to kind of kickstart their creative journey, just for like people who are kind of just starting out or kind of just finding their feet in the creative industry. Do you have any advice so far that from what you've learned so far?
I would say definitely self-determination is so important. Consistency is very important. And self-determination, consistency, and a confidence that you need to build within yourself. I think those are three. I mean, there's so many other things too, but I think those are three main things that you should go in starting with. Just because not everybody's supposed to like your stuff. And you shouldn't go in with thinking, oh, everyone's going to love it, that the whole world's going to love my stuff. No, it's not like that. Everybody, everyone's different. That, like I said, that's what's so important too, is everyone's different. Everybody has their different opinion. So go in confident with what you're doing, knowing you're doing it for you and who loves what you're doing too. You have to be determined and motivated at the same time. You really, really have to be your number one fan. You really do, because no one's going to push you as hard as you can push yourself. Yes. I mean, people are blessed with, a partner and stuff that if people do need that push, like me, I'm like a kind of person that does need that push sometimes, but I found like I'm able to find self-motivation in myself now. I mean, and this has happened. This is still going on. I'm still learning how to practice that and perfect that, because it's really not easy, especially with so many things happening, But I think those are super fundamental and super important going into it. It's just having a self-confidence, determination, and keeping a consistency in your work. Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah. Rome was not built in a day. So don't expect, and it's fine. Everybody, the guy who built Rome had the same situation. He probably had self-doubt and was going through it, So it's just 100%. One of those things.
Yeah, and I think
it's one of those
things. Such a great piece of advice, because I feel like, like just with everything in the social media age, people blow up in a day, and then you'll see that and think, oh my God, like I'm going to blow up in a day. And right. That 99.99% of the time does not happen. You know what I mean? So I think just believing, constantly like sticking with and believing in what you're doing. Like I said, and then everything else will just, fall into place, and then we'll come
fall
along.
in. Exactly.
So important. So it's a great piece of advice. Awesome. And then just the last little one for fun. We've been asking everybody what their favorite song is right now.
You know what? I cannot get enough of Marvin Gaye. I am such an oldies fan. And yes, girl, like I can turn him on. I could replay the same song for a full year and I'm cool, So if y'all want something to listen to, Marvin Gaye, put in the whole album. It doesn't matter what song, you will love them all.
Awesome. Okay. Well, now everybody has a whole album to listen to, so it's even better than just a song. Awesome. Well, perfect. Thank you so much. It's been so great talking with you, Sammy, and I'm so excited for you and your journey with your clothing brand, and I really wish you the best. And thank you so much for joining us on here. It's been so much fun. And is there any form of contact where anyone listening can contact you if they have any questions or just to chat or anything like that?
Yes, hit me up. I am on Insta, so get me on there, DM me at No Admin Official, and I also will give you my personal. Y'all can see me on my personal at Samy DeCastillo. But yeah, hit me up, collab. I'm down to even just talk about what's going on right now. I mean, there's so many things. There's so many ways creatively that we can, you know, go off and disperse in either film or just there's so many ways creatively. So hit me up. Let's work. Let's do something.
Yes. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. So thank you everybody for watching, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Deconstructing the Narrative. I hope you guys love listening to Samy as much as I love talking to her. And then just a couple things at the end for everybody who's watching. If you are a creative, or if you have a creative friend who you think would be great to, you know, get interviewed by me, you can go ahead and have them send in an application. There's a link in our bio on Instagram. So you can go in and have them submit an application, and we'll keep them in our minds for our next batch of interviews. And also, if you text a black heart emoji to 310-388-9808, you can get updates every single time a new episode goes live. And that happens every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. So we're trying to keep consistent with this. And awesome. It's been so fun talking with you. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you guys all soon.
Yes, thank you.